There is there's a very specific fantasy that really seems to be dominating a certain corner of literature right now.
Oh, definitely.
And it's not the Prince Charming fantasy anymore. I think we've kind of moved past the whole, velvet-clad royal who rides in on a white horse to save the day.
Yeah, that's feeling a bit dated.
Exactly. The modern fantasy is, well, it's sharper. It's much darker. It's what I would call the Praetorian Guard
Oh,
fantasy.
that's a really fascinating way to frame it.
Yeah.
You're talking about that idea where the safest place in the world is standing right next to the most dangerous man in the room.
Yes. Exactly. It's the paradox of the protector. Because what happens when the person who is sworn to keep you alive is also the exact person who could just completely ruin you?
Right.
And I don't mean ruin your life physically, though, let's be honest, the man we're discussing today is terrifyingly capable of violence.
Allegedly capable, yeah.
But, dangerous to your duty, your reputation, and this carefully constructed cage that you've lived in since birth.
It creates this immediate visceral tension right off the bat.
Yeah.
You have this scenario where the protector
Yeah.
is simultaneously the shield and the temptation.
Mm-hmm.
And when that dynamic plays out in a world of really rigid protocol, royal duty, suffocating expectations, the stakes aren't just about a broken heart. They're about the potential collapse of an entire monarchy.
And that is exactly the high-stakes world we are stepping into today. We are doing a deep dive into Twisted Games by Ana Huang.
Such a massive book.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I want to be clear with you right off the bat, if you're listening and you see, Princess falls for Bodyguard, you might think you know this story.
Oh, you think it's a fluffy fairy tale.
Right. You think it's like a Hallmark movie.
But this is definitely not a fairy tale. Or, I mean, if it is, it's the Brothers Grimm version before Disney went in and sanitized it.
Exactly.
It's a story where the knight is scarred and traumatized. The princess is basically plotting a political coup. And the dragon they're fighting is actually the constitution of her own country.
The Constitution as the dragon. I love that. So the mission for this deep dive is to really look past the romance tropes. Though, believe me, we will definitely talk about those because, wow, the chemistry is
Off the charts.
off the charts. But we want to really explore how this story serves as psychological battleground. It's about reclaiming agency, navigating deep-seated trauma, and the literal political chess match required to just make a forbidden relationship work.
And Ana Huang creates this fascinating tension right from page one. You have this clash between the head, which is the duty, the crown, the rules,
Right.
and the heart, which is just pure primal desire. The argument the book makes is that sometimes breaking the rules isn't an act of rebellion. It's literally the only way to survive the cage.
So let's meet the players in this game. We have to start with the immovable object, Princess Bridget von Ascheberg. And the first thing you really need to know about Bridget is that she's not your stereotypical vapid tiara-wearing brat.
No, not at all. She's actually incredibly grounded, especially when you consider her lineage. And to really understand Bridget, you have to understand her position in the royal hierarchy. She is second in line to the throne of Eldora. She is the spare.
The spare. We hear that term a lot in royal commentary, and it usually has a pretty negative connotation.
Yeah, exactly.
But in Bridget's case, being the spare really defines her entire psychology at the beginning of the book.
It absolutely does. The heir, her brother Nikolai, he absorbs all the pressure. He's the one being groomed to rule from day one. Bridget has the title, she has the wealth, but she has this massive safety buffer.
Right, she thinks she's safe.
She thinks she's safe from the ultimate burden of the crown. And that belief allows her to construct this fantasy of a somewhat normal life. I mean, she's attending Thayer University in the U.S., she's studying international relations, living in a house off campus.
She is trying so hard to be normal, and her hobbies really reflect that too. She volunteers in an animal shelter called Wags and Whiskers.
Which is such a great humanizing detail. It's not a photo op for the royal Instagram.
No, she's actually in there cleaning cages, walking dogs, dealing with the mess.
It shows a high level of empathy and a real desire to nurture, which is a stark contrast to the cold formality of the palace life she actually grew up in.
And speaking of animals, we have to talk about the parrot. I feel like the parrot is almost a character in its own right.
Leather, the African gray.
Yes, Leather. She inherited this bird from a previous owner who was, let's say, very active in the bedroom.
Very active.
So you have this regal, poised princess living with a bird that randomly screams, "Spank me, master," at the top of its lungs.
It's hilarious. But if we look a little bit deeper, I actually think the parrot serves a real symbolic function.
Oh, go on, unpack that.
Well, think about it. A proper princess would have gotten rid of that bird immediately.
True.
It's embarrassing. It's vulgar. It's a PR nightmare waiting to happen if the press catches wind of it. But Bridget loves him. She keeps him. I think it suggests that deep down she has a tolerance for chaos.
That makes a lot of sense.
She has a sense of humor and a rejection of that stuffy, perfect royal mold. She keeps the bird because the bird is authentic, even if it's completely inappropriate.
That's a really great point. It's like a little daily rebellion inside her cage. But then crashing into her semi-normal world comes the unstoppable force.
Rhys Larsen.
Rhys Larsen, the scarred knight.
Rhys is a fascinating archetype because he represents the violent intrusion of reality into her fantasy world. He's an elite bodyguard, ex-Navy SEAL working for Harper Security. And visually, he is the complete antithesis of the polished aristocrats Bridget is used to being around. He's massive, over 6'4", covered in scars, tattoos, and he just has this permanent, terrifying scowl.
And he lives by two absolute rules. One, protect the client at all costs. And two, never ever get emotionally involved.
And those rules are his armor. We learn a bit later that Rhys has a background of severe trauma. Structure, absolute control, and emotional detachment are literally how he survives his day-to-day life.
Right.
He views emotions as liabilities. His logic is simple. If you care, you hesitate. If you hesitate, people die.
So the inciting conflict happens when Bridget's old bodyguard, Booth, who is friendly, nice, basically a pal, leaves for paternity leave, enter Rhys. And their first meeting, it is a total disaster.
Oh, it's a massive collision of worldviews. We really have to look at this through Rhys's eyes for a second to understand why he comes across as such a jerk.
Okay, let's do it.
He walks into her house, and he doesn't see a home. He sees a tactical failure.
He literally calls it a security nightmare.
And he's not wrong, technically speaking.
Yeah.
He sees windows that create clear sightlines for snipers. He sees multiple ingress points that can't be monitored. He sees clutter. To Bridget, her house is her sanctuary. To Rhys, it's a death trap.
He immediately demands that she move. He tells her point blank, I'm not here to be your friend. He literally says, I say duck, you duck. He demands absolute, unquestioning obedience.
Which triggers Bridget immediately. You have to remember, she is a woman whose entire life is dictated by protocol. She is told what to wear, where to stand, what to say, who to smile at. Her home was the one place she actually had autonomy. So Rhys coming in and trying to control her physical environment feels like another cage closing in on her.
And there's this key scene early on that just perfectly illustrates this palace struggle. It's the bulletproof vest scene.
Oh, that scene is iconic.
Rhys decides she needs to understand the gravity of her safety, so he forces her to wear a bulletproof vest. To the mall.
It's a total power play. He's humiliating her slightly to prove a point about safety. He wants her to feel the weight of the threat, literally. A vest like that is heavy, it's hot, it's incredibly restrictive. He's essentially hazing his own client to break her resistance.
But Bridget fights back. And I love how she does it. She doesn't scream or cry. She drags him into a changing room.
This is brilliant character work by Ana Huang. She forces him to unzip her dress while she's wearing the vest. She completely invades his personal space.
She's standing there, vulnerable but entirely defiant, forcing him to help her change clothes. She's testing his composure. She's saying, if you're going to control my physical space, I'm going to make it incredibly uncomfortable for you.
It's the grumpy sunshine dynamic, but it's weaponized. Rhys tries to control the environment to keep her alive. Bridget fights for autonomy because she feels like she's suffocating. They are both fighting for control, but for completely different reasons.
Yeah.
And in that changing room, Rhys realizes she isn't just a spoiled princess, she actually has a spine.
Moving into part 2, we really start to see the cracks in the armor. The hostility starts to shift into this reluctant respect. And the catalyst for this is a bar fight at a place called the Crypt.
Right. So Bridget is out with her friends, just trying to be a normal college student, and this frat boy type starts harassing her. He just won't take no for an answer.
And Rhys intervenes, but he doesn't just push the guy away. He is terrifyingly efficient. It's that flip of the switch from annoying minder to lethal protector.
But the turning point isn't actually the violence itself. It's what happens after. The guy calls Bridget a slur under his breath as he walks away.
A stupid C word.
Exactly. Now, a standard bodyguard might ignore that. The physical threat is neutralized. The target is walking away. Mission accomplished.
Right. Logistically, it's over.
But Rhys doesn't let it slide.
He grabs the guy. He genuinely hurts him. And he says, I think you used a very bad word.
That moment is huge for Bridget. Because usually people protect her because she's the princess. They protect the title. They protect the royal asset. Rhys defended her dignity. He defended her as a person.
It changes the way she looks at him completely. She realizes his harshness isn't sadism, it's a desperate need to keep her safe. And Rhys sees that she isn't a spoiled brat, she stood her ground. They start to finally see the human beneath the role.
And that opening leads to the unraveling of their pasts. We find out about Rhys's complex PTSD. He opens up about his childhood. His mother was an addict, abusive, he grew up in poverty, and his military trauma, losing his squad.
This is critical for their bonding. They're both trapped. Rhys is trapped by his past and his trauma. Bridget is trapped by her future and her lineage. They bond over this shared feeling of being caged. It creates a level of intimacy that goes way beyond physical attraction.
Speaking of which, we have to talk about Costa Rica. This is a massive turning point in the book.
The Costa Rica trip. This is Bridget's bucket list trip. They leave the U.S., they leave all the palace protocols behind. They are in the rainforest.
It serves as a suspended reality. When you take characters out of their natural habitats, the rules that normally govern them start to dissolve. In Eldora, or Washington, D.C., Rhys is the employee and Bridget is the royalty. In the jungle, they are just a man and a woman.
And this is where the rules get seriously bent. Rhys has his absolute rule, no emotional involvement, and definitely no sleeping with the client. But the chemistry is just undeniable, so they find a loophole.
The loophole.
Yeah.
It's such a fascinating bit of psychological gymnastics. Rhys convinces himself that as long as they don't have intercourse, the specific act, he hasn't technically broken his oath.
It's an intense game of brinksmanship. They do, well, everything else.
It's psychologically significant because it establishes that their connection's inevitable. They can parse words and definitions all they want, but the barrier is breaking. And there is a moment, specifically, where Bridget kisses his scars.
That scene really stood out to me. He's so self-conscious about them, he literally thinks he's a monster.
And she kisses them. It signals total acceptance. She accepts the violence he has endured and the violence he is capable of. She isn't looking away. For a man like Rhys, who defines himself by his brokenness, that acceptance is more intoxicating than the physical act itself.
But just as they are getting closer, the universe, or rather the monarchy, drops a massive bomb on them, which moves us into part 3, the Caged Titans.
The abdication. This is the ultimate crisis point. Bridget's brother, Nikolai, abdicates the throne to marry a commoner, Sabrina.
Which means Bridget is no longer the spare. She is now the crown princess. She is the heir.
And the weight of that is just crushing. We have to understand the legal reality here. Eldoran law strictly forbids the monarch from marrying a commoner. So the exact moment she becomes the heir, Rhys moves from being frowned upon to being constitutionally impossible.
It's tragic. She believes she has to choose duty over love. She pushes Rhys away. She tells him, I can't be with a bodyguard. It's so brutal.
She fires him, essentially.
Yeah.
Or rather, the political situation forces him out. And the aftermath is devastating. Rhys spirals completely. He's drinking, he's angry. Bridget becomes a walking zombie. She's numbly preparing for a political marriage to a nobleman named Stefan.
It's the dark night of the soul. She's doing exactly what she was raised to do, and it is actively destroying her.
Because she's trying to kill the part of herself that makes her human. She thinks being a good queen means being a martyr. She thinks leadership requires self-immolation.
But Rhys refuses to accept that narrative. And this is where we get to part 4. Refusing the narrative, Rhys gets a pep talk, or rather, a swift kick in the pants from his boss, Christian Herper.
Christian is great here. He basically tells Rhys to stop moping and go fight for her. So Rhys returns to Eldora. He literally crashes a secret meeting Bridget is having. And he delivers this line that just changes everything. He says, if you're in Eldora, I'm in Eldora. I'm not leaving.
It's the stubbornness we love.
Yeah.
But Bridget realizes something too. She realizes she cannot be a good queen if she's miserable. If she's controlled by these archaic laws, how can she effectively lead? So she decides to fight back.
And here is where the plot twists in a way that is just delicious irony. We learn about Rhys's true parentage.
The twist. Rhys isn't just a commoner from the wrong side of the tracks. He is the illegitimate son of Lord Airhall.
And we need to pause on who Lord Airhall is. He isn't just a random noble. He is the Speaker of Parliament.
Right.
He is the main political obstacle standing in the way of changing the royal marriages law. He is the one giving all these grand speeches about the purity of the royal bloodline.
So the man saying you can't marry a commoner is the biological father of the commoner she wants to marry.
It's almost Shakespearean. And here is where the characterization of Rhys really shines. A lesser story would have Rhys use this revelation to claim his title. Oh, look, I'm a lord now. Problem solved. Let's get married.
Right. That would be the easy fix. But Rhys hates Urhal. He hates that lineage.
Exactly. He was abandoned. His mother was left to rot in poverty while Urhal lived in luxury. Rhys refuses to become a lord. Instead, he uses the secret as leverage. He realizes that Urhal is a massive hypocrite who cares about his reputation above all else.
So he decides to blackmail his own father.
He uses his very existence as a weapon. He basically says, I exist. And if you don't want your scandalous affair and illegitimate son splashed all over the tabloids, completely ruining your political career, you will do what the princess wants.
That is such a darker, more satisfying resolution than just magically becoming a prince. Which brings us to part 5, checkmate. This is where Bridget and Rhys stop hiding and start playing the game.
They team up. They realize they can't just ask nicely for permission. They have to force the hand of Parliament.
Rhys confronts his father. And it is not a tearful, emotional reunion. It is a straight-up power move. It's cold. It's calculating.
It shows exactly how far Rhys is willing to go.
Yeah.
He is willing to use the source of his own deepest trauma, his abandonment, to secure Bridget's future. He enters the political arena not as a politician, but as a predator.
And while this intense political maneuvering is happening, we get the scene, the throne room scene.
We definitely have to discuss this.
We have to. They are in the throne room, and they have a very intimate encounter on the throne.
Now, obviously, on a surface level, this is erotica. It's a romance fantasy.
Yeah.
But if we put our analysis hats on, the symbolism here is incredibly potent.
Unpack that for us. Why the throne specifically?
The throne represents the cage. It represents the crushing duty that has trapped Bridget and the rigid laws that forbid Rhys. It is the literal seat of the power that has denied them their happiness. By engaging in that act on that specific chair, they are reclaiming it.
It's an act of desecration and consecration at the exact same time.
Precisely. Bridget is taking ownership of her seat of power, but she's doing it with the man who is forbidden to her. She is blending her duty, the crown, with her desire, Rhys. She's physically merging her two worlds. She is telling the universe, I will sit here, but I will sit here on my terms.
It's basically a giant middle finger to the rules while sitting on the very symbol of those rules.
It's the exact moment she stops being a passive victim of the crown and starts actively owning it.
But they can't just rely on blackmail and throne room romps. Bridget has to win over the people. She holds a press conference, and she uses ethos, logos, and pathos.
This is where Bridget really shines as a politician. She appeals to the public directly. She admits she loves Rhys on national television. She humanizes herself completely.
She basically says, I am your queen, but I am also a woman in love.
She makes the parliament look like a bunch of stuffy old men standing in the way of true love. She weaponizes public opinion. She creates a narrative where voting against the repeal makes you the villain in the nation's great love story.
It's a brilliant strategy, which leads directly to the climax in part 6, the vote.
It comes down to the wire. The tension in Parliament is incredibly high, but the law is repealed. The cage is broken.
But notice, she didn't escape the cage. She didn't abdicate like her brother did.
That is a crucial distinction. She stayed in the cage, but changed the rules of the cage itself. She didn't run away from power. She reshaped it to fit her needs.
But it's not all victory laps. There is a serious betrayal. We find out that Bridget's friend, Michaela, and the housekeeper, Ellen, were involved in leaking photos and surveillance of Bridget and Rhys.
This was heartbreaking because Bridget trusted them, especially Ellen, who had really been a mother figure to her. But her reaction, it's pure queen energy.
She doesn't crumble. She fires Elin with this cold, absolute authority. She says, I need someone who works with me.
It shows she is no longer the passive girl from part 1 who let Rhys bully her into a bulletproof vest. She is the monarch now. She cuts the toxic elements out of her life without hesitation.
And the ending. Rhys and Bridget are together, openly.
The epilogue shows Bridget's coronation 6 months later. Rhys is right by her side. He's not just a bodyguard anymore, he's her partner, her husband.
And they aren't the traditional fairy tale couple. They are, as the title says, twisted. But they are free.
They are free because they fought for it. They played the game and won.
So let's zoom out for a minute. What does this all mean? We've got a princess, a bodyguard, a swearing parrot, and a throne room scandal. But what is the real takeaway for the reader?
I think the core message challenges the traditional idea of duty. We are often taught that duty means self-sacrifice, that to serve others, you must destroy yourself. Bridget's journey argues that real power is the ability to align your duty with your authentic self.
She didn't choose between the crown and Rhys. She forced the world to let her have both.
Exactly. And it raises a really provocative question for you as the listener to think about. Does true leadership require a cold heart? Or is the ability to fight for what makes you human: love, connection, desire, what actually makes you a leader worth following?
That is absolutely a question worth mulling over. If you want the visceral details, the intense chemistry, and to see exactly how a bulletproof vest can somehow be a flirting device, you need to read Twisted
It's a
Games.
wild ride.
Until next time, keep diving deep.
Stay curious.